going to be doing an inner work process called the funeral for the old self. So what you're going to be needing for this process is some kind of container pot where you can burn things in, a journal and a pen to write with, a lighter or some matches, water, both for safety and as a symbolic item. And you're also going to be wanting an object, and I'll explain further so you can know what object to choose. So we're going to start out by writing down a list of things, of self-limiting beliefs, things that we no longer want to believe about ourselves and that actually aren't the truth of who we are, but that are keeping us stuck maybe in some negative emotions or feeling sorry for ourselves, just in a place where we don't want to be. So since I'm actually recording this during a waning moon, this is the perfect time to do this process, because when the moon starts to wane, that is when we want to let go of what no longer serves us, even let go of our desires, of our attachments, because we're just letting the universe take care of it. And the reason I brought up desire is because oftentimes when we think about what we truly want, that's when a lot of these negative aspects come up, because we feel like we're not worthy of it, or we feel like it's never going to work out. Of course, the main reason why we want to be doing this exercise is not only to unblock the potential for whatever we wish to flow into our lives, but just to feel good in general, to feel free of the weight of these beliefs that aren't true and that are just really making us feel heavy and bad inside. So I'm going to give you a moment here and go ahead and flip to an empty page in your journal and take a second to think about some things that you believe about yourself, some negative things, some things that when you think about what you want in your life are blocking you in a sense from having it, or even beliefs about you never being able to have that thing. Write these beliefs down as they come up. The truth of the matter is that these beliefs have deeper roots. They stem from some kind of trauma we either experienced during our childhood or later on, even in our adult life. And somehow these experiences that we had that were not so great ingrained certain beliefs in us. And of course, we have positive experiences as well that ingrain good beliefs about ourselves, and those are helpful. The truth is that we are simply the observer of all of these beliefs. But since we are the observer and we are not the beliefs in and of themselves, we are not these thoughts that circle around and around in our minds, it would be wise and just simply a more pleasurable experience in general for us to be able to choose beliefs and thoughts that make us feel good. So we are going to try to pinpoint the major thoughts that are not that that are negative, and we are going to try to write them down, because when we write them down, we are able to put our feelings to words, and we're able to actually become aware of this pattern. We're trying to bring something that's in our subconscious up to our consciousness so that we can be free of it. So now I'm going to just allow you a couple of minutes here to write down these thoughts while I write mine down, and then I'll share them with you so you can get an idea in case you're confused of what I mean. So go ahead and write them down. sometimes it takes a little while for these thoughts to come up and for you to be able to put them to paper, and that's totally fine. Like I said, take your time, and if I happen to finish first and you still need more time, you are welcome and free to pause the video and continue your writing. Take a moment to look over your list and read it over. Again, if you're not done, go ahead and pause and continue, and then come back to the video. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that you may or may not have written down, they may be similar to mine or completely different. But for example, I wrote, I need to constantly worry about things not working out. People don't take me seriously. I cannot relax and be happy until I get what I want. There's something wrong with me. I'm not complete. It's hopeless. I'll never reach what I'm looking for. And I need to control everything. So this may or may not resonate with you. Of course, every person's list will be different and unique. But as human beings, we do tend to have a lot of similarities within our traumas, though they may have been different. They often cause similar results. And so that's just the gist of the kind of list you may have. And of course, these are all lies. So above this list, hopefully you left a little bit of space. Above this list, you're going to write down the lies I tell myself. In big, bold letters if you can. And what we're going to do with this paper eventually is burn it, because we are going to have this cathartic experience of just letting that go, letting these beliefs go, letting nature, so fire, an element of nature, take care of it, be gone, and we are going to like remove them from our head and replace them with a different, more helpful narrative. Of course, these thoughts can creep back in, and it's not, you may be thinking it's not as simple as like a lobotomy, but really these kinds of exercises where you write these thoughts out, where you burn them, or where you at least catch them in the making, are really helpful, because eventually the more you catch them and the more you tell your mind, thief, that's not true, you're trying to steal the truth of who I am, the more your brain realizes, oh, okay, we're not doing this, we're not diving into that rabbit hole. Because if they stay in your subconscious, then what you're going to do is you're going to indulge in those thoughts, and they're going to take you on a journey where one negative thought leads to another, to another, to another, to another, and the process can sometimes never really end. So we are breaking that loop by becoming aware of them, and by being like, no, I'm not actually going to feel like this, I'm not going to believe this, because I know it's not true. It's just a thought that happened to slip into my consciousness. So the more we do this, the more our brain realizes that that's not a path we're going to take. And so the weaker those neurons that create these thoughts become. Whereas if we continue to indulge in those thoughts, the stronger those connections become, and the more we want to go back to them, which is why it's often so hard to break these cycles, because our brain is literally addicted to feeling that way. And so when you try to stop, it's like, what are you doing? No, we always feel angry when we're in traffic, or we always feel hopeless whenever we're thinking about our biggest, deepest desires. But we are slowly going to undo this. So as of now, you can go ahead and rip out this paper where you wrote down the lies that you tell yourself, and you can place it in your pot, ready to be burned. And now we are going to write in big, bold letters up top here on a new blank sheet of paper, the truth of who I am. And once you've written that down, we're just going to take a moment here. Close our eyes, take a few deep breaths. Really feel your belly expanding, your breath deepening and slowing down, with your spine nice and long. We're shifting our energy from the lies to the truth, from the negative to the positive. While you're here breathing, I want you to imagine your ideal self. I'm sure that he or she is relaxed, knowing that everything is working out in their favor. Knowing that they are provided for. Knowing that they are loved, and that they are capable of so much love. Your ideal self definitely knows how to deal with all emotions. Even the less positive ones. It's not that they no longer exist, but he or she knows exactly what to do. How to make sure they don't dwell in them for longer than necessary. So just take a minute here. And imagine this ideal, relaxed, loved and loving self that you already are. And then slowly open up your eyes. And once your eyes have adjusted to the light again, you're going to, with me, grab your pen and your paper and write down whatever attributes came up for your ideal self, whether they were the ones that I spoke out loud or they were your own personal positive traits and characteristics and things that you wish to embody, things you probably already do embody, but you want more of. So go ahead and take a moment here.
The mistakes that I have made, or any other things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am alive.
If you're still writing here, you can pause again, take all the time you need. If not, read over your list once more as you did with the lies. And I'll share with you what I wrote down. So I wrote down, I am relaxed. I am loved, even when I take time for myself. I think a lot of us sometimes feel guilty when we're not always serving others, or when we're just doing something we need to get done, and sometimes we even need to ask others for help. And oftentimes we feel guilty about it, but we need to remind ourselves that we're loved, even if we ask help from others, or even if we're not able to help others in that moment. I am abundant. I sit back and allow the divine to take care of what I cannot control while I enjoy the present moment. I find joy somewhere in every moment. I see the good in others. I have compassion for others. And here I was referring to the fact that even if you are a person who is full of joy and love and positivity, you're not always going to find people along your path that are the same way. So in my journey, I'm trying to look at those people and think, okay, this is nothing personal, and I shouldn't go down the spiral of thinking, oh, if only you would just see things differently, or if only you would just trust the universe, blah, 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 because I realize that they're not at that part of their journey yet. And so I have compassion for them because I've been there as well. And I know what it's like to feel angry, to feel scared, to feel hopeless. And so we just have compassion for them because the way they feel doesn't have to affect the way you're feeling. And they are suffering in this moment. So it doesn't make sense to be frustrated or annoyed with them, though I know these are natural reactions, but the best thing to do is to really have compassion. So that's one of my big ones. And again, your list might be totally different because all of us are working on different things. All of us are trying to embody different things. Some attributes come easily and some a little less. And I wrote down personally the ones that are not as internalized yet because I want to internalize these. So we're going to set our journal to the side for now. And we are going to proceed with our funeral. But first, we are going to write our obituary. Example of one of mine I did another time I carried out this inner work process. You would start with, we are gathered here today to honor the life of old, and then your name. And you're going to basically incorporate some of those negative aspects that you noticed of yourself. But you are going to write down the quote-unquote positives that came out of them, because your ego, in believing those negative things, was and is just trying to protect you, right? And in some way, shape, or form, these beliefs at a certain point of our life may have actually served us. Now they no longer do, so we're letting them go. But we're trying to see both good and bad. We're recognizing and bringing awareness to the bad. The English language and any language is limited in expressing this. It's not that it's bad per se, but things that don't make us feel good, for sure. But we're also recognizing how that has served us in the past. So, to give you an example, I'll just read you the first few sentences of mine, and then I'll read it out to you so that you're not too influenced, but so that you can get an idea. We are gathered here today to honor the life of old Tori. She was always trying to make sure no one ever felt uncomfortable or got offended, but in the process denied her own needs, and this transpired to the people around her, causing discomfort anyway, causing the very thing she sought so hard to avoid. So you see, I did mention that I was trying to make sure no one felt uncomfortable or got offended, and those can be nice things, you're trying to think of others, but in the process, I was denying my own needs, and other people noticed, and so other people still felt uncomfortable and could sense my frustration. So that's what we're going for here with this eulogy. So I'm going to give you, again, a couple of minutes to write that down. Go ahead and take all the time you need.
शयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं
Remember that you're not berating yourself here. You're looking at yourself with compassion and grace, as if you were looking at a child almost.
Dominus illuminatio mea. Amen.
Though we're letting this part of us go, we are still learning to accept all parts of us, because that's a part of the process as well.
Vishnu, Vishnu.
If you still have to finish up, you can pause the video. If not, take a moment here to reread what you wrote. Notice maybe how you feel as you read this. And now I'll share all of my eulogy with you. So we are gathered here today to honor the life of old Tori. She was always trying to make sure no one ever felt uncomfortable or got offended, but in the process denied her own needs, and this transpired to the people around her, causing discomfort anyway, causing the very thing she sought so hard to avoid. She didn't want to ask too much of people, so she often beat around the bush or left out certain details when asking for something, causing frustration and confusion instead of the positive response she was looking for. She always wanted to be in community with others and spend quality time with them. However, her fear of not being able to do so caused her to cling to and get upset at the moments this didn't work out. She loved life and family to the point where the thought of not having her own immediately sent her into a spiral of berating herself and others mentally with time crunches, instead of enjoying the life around her. She was just trying to protect her happiness and that of others, perhaps in a not so effective way. So now that we've written out all we've had to write out, we can think about, or you can think about, which object you are going to use to symbolically charge with these energies of your old self. Now, if it's something that's burnable, great. We can burn that later on along with the paper. If not, that's totally fine. You can just charge it with this energy of, I'm letting you go and I no longer need you. For me, that's going to be my phone this time around, because I often run to it when I'm anxious about something and I want to look up, oh, what's the solution to this problem? And it's often things that I've looked up millions of times and I never get a different answer. So it's like, why am I going back to this? It's just causing me to read maybe forums and blogs and stuff that are also coming from a place of anxiety, because that's what tends to happen. And so as of late, I've been telling myself, that's it. We're not, even when we feel like we want to go and check our phone, we're not doing that anymore. Or rather, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to take a few deep breaths and relax, know that I'm okay, know that everything is going to turn out fine, and that running to my phone and to the internet for answers is never where I found a solution, so it's not going to give me what I'm searching for. So for you, it may be something similar, it may be something completely different. Other times that I've done this process, it was a physical object, so it can be really anything, as long as it's symbolically important to you. So I'll give you a moment to find this object in your house. Now that you have your object, we're going to charge it with this energy. So I'm using my phone to record in this moment, so I will just use this journal as an example. So you're going to hold your object in your hands, or maybe place your hands directly over it. Take a few deep breaths again here. You can close down your eyes. and relaxing into the moment and charging this object with the energy of letting it go. It no longer has a grasp on you. It no longer has a hold on you. You're releasing it. You're saying goodbye to it. You're burying it with your old self as a new self is born, as a new you emerges. This object will no longer have the power to trigger you. Its effect will become weaker and weaker. And slowly you can open up your eyes again. And we are going to start the cremation process. So you've got your paper with the lies in your pot. You've got your lighter or matches. And if you can place your object in the pot as well, good. If it's not burnable, then just leave it to the side. You've charged it with your energy, so that's perfect. And you are going to burn your paper. Now keep your water nearby just in case, and we'll be using it directly afterwards. So also take a moment to reread your eulogy. Actually, before you burn this, just take a moment to reread it. Maybe read it out loud. So pause the video here, read your eulogy out loud, and then burn the lies. This will make it even more powerful. Okay, now that you've read your obituary, your eulogy, we are going to move on. Got a little ant on me. We're going to move on to the burning, letting go, watching these lies as they dissipate, as they turn into ash. As the old self disappears. You may need to burn your paper more than once, especially if it's a windy day like it is here. How satisfying is it to just allow these thoughts, these beliefs to dissipate with a physical gesture? Once you've got mostly ash left over and the fire has stopped burning, you're going to pour this baptismal water over the ashes. Water is purifying, so we're just accepting that our old self is gone and we're baptizing the new. Feels really good to just wash all of this away. Now, if you have the option of doing so, you can pour your ashes and your water into a body of water, as I'm going to do. Just releasing it back to nature, letting it flow away. And you could even use a toilet if you don't happen to have a neighborhood creek or river or ocean or lake or something like that. You could even use a toilet, and that's just as effective. Or alternatively, you could bury your ashes in the ground. That also works very well. And to close off this process, you're going to go back to the truths of who you are, that you are. This is who you were born to be. This is who you're becoming more and more every day. And just breathe into that knowledge. And take a moment here to sit, meditate on this process. Feel into your new self. You were just reborn, so it takes a moment to get used to it. But it's exciting. And it opens up a whole new world for you. So I thank you for having participated in this inner work process with me. And I hope you do feel lighter, you do feel better, and that you feel brand new. And I wish you to carry on this energy of letting go during all of this process of the waning moon and beyond. Namaste.